few hours ago. So he's been a busy boy, but delighted to have him in the booth. And obviously he's been out on track, as has Josh Hurley. So, gents, tell me a little bit more about this track as we see Andretti sort of strapping in here. What do you expect?
I expect it to be...
One sec.
I expect it to be very high dig. It's hotter out. One of the things that I learned
more
when
so
I was
than
out
your
there,
race.
Yeah. I mean, it was colder when I was out there, but I had to start in the back, and I wasn't really pushing too hard. But you have dirty air, and you have a bunch of other things in the factor. But by the end of the race, with the last 15 laps, I had no tires left, front, rear, all of it goes away. So maintaining the tires and getting under the rubber and having the rubber take you is going to be key. If you get outside the rubber and you go in the marbles, your tires are going to be cooked. So.
Okay. Interesting to know, because we'll talk to Josh in a moment. We're just about to join Matt, but I'm really excited to hear from both of you throughout this 100 miles. Obviously, Josh does a bit of coaching as well as racing. You're on the way up, and you're definitely one of the future stars of motorsport in America. So delighted to have both of you on board and your insights into what will be a very interesting TA Trans Am race. And we welcome our viewers on MAV TV as you look down high from the drone position on our Trans Am presented by Pirelli grid. We're about to send them out. I'm Jonathan Green, and alongside me, I'm delighted to be joined by Thomas Annunziata, who, of course, races for Nitro Motorsport and will be racing once again with us next time out. He's had a busy weekend. Josh Hurley for BC Cars, also racing in the last race today in the Trans Am TA2 race this morning. Conditions have changed a little bit, Josh. We just spoke to Thomas about just, tire deg. How do you manage that then?
This is the conditions I actually wanted for our race. So these
Okay.
guys are lucky. Managing the deg is really interesting. And actually, back at NOLA, we got to see a great example of it from Chris Dyson of really taking care of the car and setting up the car appropriately for it first. So you got to take a risk of when in the race do you want to be fast, in the beginning or the end. If you want to be fast at the end, you're going to run that car softer and sacrifice some of that pace in the beginning. You're also going to see these guys really rolling on the throttle gently, and they may be hunting for areas where there isn't rubber. They don't want to get outside of the rubber out in the marbles, but to the inside of the rubber gets greasy in the heat, so you might see them take some tighter lines to stay out of that rubber to save those tires and get some grip and some purchase. So we should see some of that out there.
Josh, while I remember one of the stories of the weekend was definitely Tommy Dreesy. And we'll tell you about that in a moment because we're about to get underway. So let's head down once again to Ben Sissel.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. This is so cool. We have Arcade Matt, who's a friend of Josh Carlson, who's racing with us. You can see the Atari hat going on. But in this fan walk, grid walk, he was recognized a few times as Arcade Matt. So I have to ask you, because we've been looking at your videos and your content, so much fun, especially as an arcade fan. That's like my generation. But where can we find your stuff?
Thanks, Ben, for having me. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, pretty much anywhere these days, Instagram, and we do arcade content. It all started even with that claw machine. They seem rigged, but I've kind of proven them wrong, by studying those things and trying winning all them plush toys over these years. So it's been a blast.
So you're just saying I'm unskilled. That's my problem?
Yeah, you just need the tips, man. That's it.
And that's where we can find tips on how to win claw machines?
And more tickets, too. The guy that I met here today was like, I'm winning lots of jackpots thanks to your videos. And I love to hear that. That's so awesome.
So you're going to be rooting for your friend Josh Carlson. I'm sure hopefully you're going to go up onto Spectator Hill. You're from the Pittsburgh area. This is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, this is amazing. I've never been here before. This is just awesome. We got a beautiful day here in Western Pennsylvania, and what more could you ask for?
So you actually take the mic, be obnoxious, and deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And with that, Paul Menard replied with the roar of his engine, said, anything you can make loud, I can make louder. I love it. What a great intro. And so if you want to get down to Coney Island and you want to get your fluffy toy, that's the man. Arcade Matt, that's who you ask for. Got some good stories. I was just about to allude to the fact that Tommy Dreesy is going to start at the back. And he was explaining to me last night, and Josh, we talked about this. He was getting basically rear hopping under braking. Explain A, what that is, and B, what it can feel like.
Unfortunately, I know all too well what that can feel like. So when the rear brakes in these solid axle cars, when you lock up the rear brakes, the wheels hop up and down. It gets very violent, shakes the car, takes even more rear grip away from you, and then you slide the rear, and it's really easy to spin. I unfortunately used a little too much brake pressure and missed the setup, and it caused some of that. Now, your damper settings and all your settings can affect that, and as the track gets hot and greasy, it gets way easier to happen. So drivers can do some things. They have some tools to move around. They can move brake bias forward, and that can help that a little bit. You can play with some throttle and how you get on the brake, how hard you push, how fast you squeeze it to try to alleviate that. Tommy changed cars and did some setup changes to alleviate that. And actually, that's something we're going to be looking for, because that's how you can pass some people, as Thomas knows, because Thomas here got by me when I axle hopped.
Yeah, Mr. Cool move of the race in TA2, because you passed pretty much everybody. But fun race to watch.
Yeah, definitely fun. You got to just take advantage of a lot of the people's wrecks and mistakes that happen in front of you, right? And wheel hopping was a big one. I got Josh, who did it in front of me, thankfully, because it was getting hard to pass people. The front tires are going away for sure. But yeah, it's very easy to do. You're gonna have to back up the braking zones. That could also happen if you downshift too quickly, or if you don't blip the throttle enough, which I do a lot sometimes, which is not a good thing. But yeah, you got to be smart with it. You got to be slow with it, and you got to be smooth with it in order to do that, because else someone else could capitalize on those mistakes.
As you can see, we'll be on board with Tommy Dreese coming from the back effectively with the MAV TV sponsorship and the Lucas sponsorship. I'm not so sure if he's actually sponsored by MAV, but he makes sure that everybody knows. So when he's on MAV TV, he gets plenty of coverage. And, of course, he's now part of the Franklin Road with Ken Thwaites, of course. And I think that's made a big difference to his racing. Tommy Dreese, he's been in a few teams, but he can now concentrate on just the driving and let Ken get on with fixing the car, sorting things out, deciding to swap the car or whatever. And I think that has just made Dreese a lot happier inside the car. And it is one of those things, as a racing driver, the less you have to do outside of the car, the more you're enjoying it.
Yeah, this is going to be a cool angle here. This is going to be fun. I know what it's like to go from the back. There's a lot of moods. There's a lot of entertaining stuff from the camera, so this should be cool. I expect to see a lot of good moves from him. He hasn't won a race since 2021. I talked to him before, so he's hungry, and this should be this will make that win just that much better.
Well, listen, we've talked a little bit about the conditions. Let's talk about the track. Paul Menard, of course, is coming to this track for the first time, like many others. Dyson has been here back in 2018 when the race was won by Loshak. But let's take a look at this pit race circuit with our pole man, Paul Menard.
I'm Paul Menard. We're here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, driving these 900 horsepower TA1 cars around a great facility here. Turn one's one of the best passing zones. I'd say the second best. Down to third gear, coming on the long straightaway into turn 3 is probably the best braking zone. A true straight, can outbrake somebody, get a run, get a good outbrake. Coming on the back side of the racetrack, a lot of S's, a lot of timing, trying to get the car set, pointed right to drive through to the next corner, a lot of give and take. Not a lot of passing opportunities back there. This long, curvy back straightaway. You'd have to be pretty bold to make an inside dive between 16 and 17, but you could see it happen. I think if you get position on the inside of 16, the guy on the outside is just going to have to give it to you. And that's Pittsburgh International Race Complex, and we're going to line them up and battle it out for 100 miles.
And that's exactly the plan. Battle it out for 100 miles. That's what's ahead of us here in our Trans Am race. Perfect conditions. Here's your grid then. Paul Menard in pole position for the Master Force tools. Sold in all the Menard shots, I'm told, these days. Chris Dyson for Jim Weed alongside him. Adam Andretti and Lee Saunders on row 2. Great start for Lee Saunders. Pole position for SGT. Then it's Joshua Carlson, Chris Coffey. More stories from him I'll tell you about in a moment. Richard Forsyth on the 4th row. He's had a good run. Milton Grant starts his 50th year of racing, can you believe it, in 55. Row 5 is Richard Grant and Kaylee Bryson. She too has had quite a few problems to deal with throughout this weekend. We'll talk about those. Amy Ruman came late to the game and so has to start at the back as Tommy Dreese has swapped cars for the Franklin Road Apparel team. And Colin Cohen had a crash which also turned him round, so he hit the front and the back at 17 in practice and has had a lot of repairs overnight. And you can talk to that a little bit, Josh. they've been working hard on that Maserati.
They've been working really hard. In fact, the man who can really use a coffee right now is Chris Coffey. Not only does he drive that car, he's also the mechanic for both him and Colin. So he's been working his butt off overnight and now has to crawl in this car and go do 100 miles around a not easy track in the heat of the day.
Yeah, that's not easy. There's Tommy Dreesy, and as you can see, starts second last, and behind is that Maserati. So a lot of work for Dreesy, but probably from what you described, the right decision to swap cars, because he's kind of got nothing to lose, but there's always a chance of safety, and with 100 miles, there's a chance of, as Thomas proved, of coming through the field. Chris Dyson in 24, as you can see, 2 wins, that's all, and 3 podiums. So he didn't get off to the perfect start, but Dyson at the moment is really trying to reel in Paul Menard, and it's hard to bet against Chris Dyson. He's so sort of metronomically accurate with what he does in his racing.
Yeah, this is going to be really cool. I just looked at the championship points. It's a 5-way battle, really. It's a 5-way battle. It's really close in the top 3, but this is going to be interesting. Dyson needs to get some momentum going his way and maybe spook Paul Menard quickly here. Or he may play the long game and hopefully Paul wears out his tires and he has a chance. But Paul's a smart driver. He's been racing a while, so it's going to be hard to get him to do that. And then right behind him, you got Andretti lurking back there, too. He's hungry for a win. He's a really, really great driver. He was driving my car, my TA2 car this weekend while I was at the Xfinity race. Very respectful, unbelievable driver, big name, and I expect to see some big things from him this weekend.
Yeah, he won on his birthday at Road Atlanta, and he wants to do the same again. And I think he's kind of, obviously he was here in the booth talking through your race, but I think he's keen on letting Menard and Dyson kind of take strips off each other, and he'll just slip through when he's good and ready. And coming up, of course, is Mid-Ohio, one of his favorite circuits. So he wants to put a win or at least a podium to keep himself in contention. As you rightly point out, Paul Menard has a 19-point lead. It's tight between him and Dyson after a good result from Dyson, despite getting spun around at Lime Rock. Andretti is third, 23 points off Dyson. Then it's Dreesy and Ruman. We are set fair to go as they head here at Pennsylvania down the pit race, main straight towards the first corner. And Menard under pressure already from Dyson. Good start from all 3 of the top 3, and they slot into position as expected. And Menard takes the whole shot and heads down towards the bowl for the first time. Good clean start, gents.
Looks like Dyson just got a bad exit out of there. He got loose on the exit of turn 2. He would have had a really good shot going into this corner, but he didn't get close enough to Paul, and Paul didn't have to defend, so now he's going to have to put pressure around the rest of the lap.
But it is interesting to see, much like NOLA, you were watching NOLA, Dyson's car looks way softer than Paul, and at the race at NOLA, what we saw was Paul drove the tires off a little bit with that harder setup. You can see Dyson's car, you see that nose rise and go up and down a lot more than does Paul, so that means he's probably set up for a longer run.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, obviously your eagle eyes see so much more than we do from the outside, but is that a factor when you're setting up the car that you've got to think about how stiff you go, because it can actually make it worse for the tires?
Absolutely, especially in both the TA2 and these big TA cars. It's a little less of a factor for the XGT and SGT, but for these TA cars, it's critical, because the stiffer it is, that energy within the car accelerating has to go somewhere. If it's stiff, it puts that energy right into the tire. If it's soft and you allow it to move, that shock absorber can absorb that shock, and instead of putting in the tires, it goes into the damper instead.
See, so Thomas doesn't have that. They just threw him in this morning and said, go.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about the car, honestly. It was okay. Need a little bit of work, but just jumped in and drove. Yeah, it was definitely fun. But if you look here closely, Paul Menard is pulling away a little bit. Looks like, I can't tell if he's charging hard right now or Dyson's backing off. But Paul has a bit of a gap right here, and so does Andretti. Looks like they're all separating a little bit more here. They might be playing the long game.
We're also keeping an eye on Amy Ruman, obviously, and Tommy Dreesy, both of them starting at the back and both of them moving forward quickly. Amy not here for the first day. She had a graduation to go to, not her own, her daughter's, I think, and Tommy, as we heard, has swapped cars. But because they've got 850 brake horsepower under the hood, it's not going to take long for them to get through the production classes. But that's a factor, isn't it, where you've got to factor that in, that you're going to come across cars that are actually running at a different pace. And how about this? Wow. Andretti's got past our champion, because Andretti in the Burton chassis is ahead in second place of Chris Dyson, who's now dropped down to third.
Yeah, it looks like Dyson struggled off the start of this race. I'm not sure if his tire pressures are lower than everyone else's or he's really trying to save. But he's struggling to keep up with Paul, and Paul's got a huge gap now. He's
gone.
It looks like 2-3 seconds now. Andretti's now, it's now his turn to try to catch him.
Well, an interesting start, and as you say, Menard is just on a tear. Look at him go. He's in the distance. And now we've got a clear shot with just second and third. And when they come across the line again, we'll see just how far Menard has done. But this is an impressive start by Menard as he heads down the back straight towards the Cube 3, turn 17 complex.
Yeah, this is exciting. Let's see what Andretti's got. He's starting to gap Dyson here. There he goes. The car looks really, really good. And while we were talking about that, we have Dreese, who passed, I believe, Carlson? He passed Carlson. He's making his way up the field as well. He's up to 6th already. Look at that.
Really impressive. Sixth place from Dreese. He is in the mood, isn't he? I said he's got full concentration now. Well, there's no question that he's on the move. And so too is Ruman. She's up to 4th place at the moment. So really impressive. But just to conclude, it's Menard, Andretti, Dyson at the top 3.
Menard pulled 4.6 seconds, 3 seconds in 1 lap. He is rolling right now. That might not be good for his tires at the end of this race. It could get close at the end of this thing.
Yeah. Well, these two are going into battle, as you can see, Andretti and Dyson. But Ruman, what a start from Amy Ruman in the McNichols 23 Corvette. 2-time champion, remember. She's not had the best of luck of late. She's been in crashes with other drivers. She's had mechanical issues. She's stuck with the Corvette mark, and she seems to like it. The whole family here, it's a family affair with the Rumans, and each and every weekend they start with high hopes and then it kind of fades away. But this season she started really brightly indeed, and as we said, 5th at the moment, just 13 points behind Tommy Dreese, and so she'll want to stay ahead of Dreese, her arch nemesis and rival for many, many a year.
Yeah, it's definitely cool seeing women compete at this level and beating a lot of us. So there's not a lot of women that compete at this level and compete in motorsports. To see her working hard and beating some of her butts, this is really cool.
And not only that, she was the first woman to win a USAC national event.
Yes,
she won a Silver Crown race at Belleville, which is incredible.
And by the way, talking of Andretti, as we look at him, Andretti Autosport with a woman, Jamie Chadwick from Great Britain, on the pole in Indy Lights today. Really impressive. So yeah, good to see all women getting involved in motorsport. We've got Kaylee Bryson also getting her first win, and she's had a lot of problems with steering column problems, or steering not working as well as she'd like. And even last night when I left the circuit, I said, is it better? And she said, yeah, not really. But she's just starting out in her career, and she's got part of the diversity scholarship as well, so she's getting some help, and she's definitely a great asset now to her Trans Am career. We'll see more of her as the race goes on.
If you look closely,
Welcome back, our MAP viewers, and go ahead, Thomas, you were about to say.
Yeah, if you look closely, last lap, Andretti and Dyson were within a 10th of Paul Menard's lap, so this is looking promising. They're not closing in yet, but the lap times are getting closer.
And our MCO Gear lap leaderboard tells us that Menard has led all 3 of the first 3 laps. That could change, though, if these two can get a hurry up and start to catch him. And I think Andretti, look, now you see it from the drone. You can see the gap he's got, but it's not insurmountable. If you saw that shot, Thomas, you'd say, oh, I can get him.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's honestly not moving too much. I think this is I think Andretti and Dyson are playing the long run here. And you got Dreese back up to 5th now.
Yeah, and this is what you saw at NOLA. You saw Chris sit there and wait, and it took until about the last 15, 20 minutes, and then Chris was able to pounce and get Paul, especially once they got to traffic, because the tires matter even more when you're trying to get around these slower cars, especially here, because if you catch a lap car in the S's, you have to make a risky move. You can't just use the 900 horsepower to blow by them on the straight if you catch them there.
Let's see the gap here.
Yeah, you'll see the gap. Menard crosses the line now, and let's have a look at it. It was 4.3.
It was 4.7. It's now 4.3.
So they are coming, and so is Ruman.
Caught them almost half a second. That's strong. That's strong.
Guys, in your race, when Jared Odrick went off, we had a long safety car because we had to put tires back. But Andretti made a good point to me, which is, I like a long safety car situation for my tires.
I would agree, yes. I mean, you get to cool them down, you get to cool the brakes down, you get to cool everything down, including the driver. It is very it is very hot in those things, and it is very physical. So you get a chance to regroup, talk to your team, and figure out a game plan on how to gain some spots quickly, because during those yellows, that's when everyone's the closest.
Where I'm the other way. this might be some youth first experience. I like the really long run in the tire dag because I know how to manage the tire and take care of that.
That's it.
So everyone out there kind of wants something different. So the yellows offer a little bit of both. It helps some guys out, hurts some others. Dyson probably doesn't want a yellow. Paul's probably hoping for a yellow halfway through.
Well, I was about to say, yeah, if you are hard on the machinery, especially when the tire dag is going down, you would like to cool them off a little bit. Andretti was showing that nobody was weaving in the time that you were in that long period, and so yeah, that makes a difference.
Oh yeah, for sure. And listen, today in today's race for me, I wanted those cautions. I needed them. My car wasn't exactly where I needed it to be. And it helped me gain more spots, and it helped me get around you, Josh. But there's some instances where, like, my car's great, and I'm better in the long run. And when these cautions come, everyone else's tires are better, right? They're not gonna wear off anymore. So you run out of laps, run out of time to be able to get that advantage in tires. So it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. And in this case, it didn't go Josh's way today, but yeah, definitely important.
You're listening to Thomas Annunziata from New Jersey, and if you're wondering why he's alongside us this weekend, it's because he's had one heck of a weekend in his young career, almost doing most of the 500 miles almost, but what was it, 350 miles you did racing in this weekend?
Yeah, 300, I believe, actually, I'm not sure. I think it was either 150 or 250 miles yesterday in the Xfinity race. If you want to count the practices and qualifying, then you're probably right. And then a 100-mile race today, so not on much sleep. Took a red-eye flight. 6-hour flight, so I landed at 6 a.m. this morning. No sleep. I'm exhausted. I'm tired, so forgive me for stuttering. I'm tired. I'm tired.
No private jet like Kyle Larson doing the double? Come on,
yeah,
man.
come on, man.
It broke down.
So we're on board with Chris Dyson and the Jim Wheat 16 as he tries to close in on Andretti. You can see it clearly here. And it's interesting to watch the lines. Guys, if you spot something, shout out immediately, because you guys are evil-eyed when it comes to looking at the onboards.
Well, we got to keep close to this gap. We got to keep these fans excited. It's 4 seconds now. 3/10 that lap again. Paul Menard jumped it on the restart. Got a huge gap within the first 3 to 4 laps, but it looks like it's starting to fall off, and these guys behind are starting to gain.
Just a quick check, Josh Carlson leading in SGT at the moment, ahead of Lee Saunders. Lee Saunders took the pole in his famous 84 Viper, but it's the number 36 of Josh Carlson, who's the youngster leading the way in SGT. Don't forget Chris Coffey going good in 9th position, and like you say, he's had a big night too, preparing his teammate's car. Colin Cohen, who's still at the back. Richard Grant, Milton Grant, celebrating his 50th year of racing. Josh, can you see yourself doing 50 years of racing?
Absolutely. I could see it doing more. They don't have to pull me out of the car when I'm dead.
Great.
Like, I love doing this. I don't never want to stop. Even if you have to drive slower stuff, it doesn't stop being fun.
And Thomas, like I said, it's great to finally get you in the booth, but we're hoping for NASCAR for you. That's the plan, right?
Yes, that is the plan. Been working on it for a while. Started watching Light McQueen when I was younger, and that was always the goal. Days of Thunder. I always wanted to be in NASCAR. And it's so surreal that it's starting to happen and starting to become real for me. So just got to keep grinding and keep working hard, and things will come.
The problem you got is you're going to get there eventually, and we're all going to go, there he is, but then you're going to look across the view there, and it's going to be Brent Cruz, Connor Zillage, everybody you've raced through on the way up.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, NASCAR used to be a bunch of the dirt racing guys, which it still is. That's how you get there. But now it's a lot of the road course go-kart guys that are jumping in. Connor Zillage, Brent Cruz, both karting world champions. I joined a little bit later. I never went to Europe, but I grew up racing with them in the national stuff. We were all fighting for the victories there and fighting up front, and I followed them through because I knew the path better than we did. So I followed them through the Mazda, and then came to Trans Am, and now we're going to continue following them through.
Yeah, I remember when you arrived from Miata, you said that you knew Brent, and that was kind of what got you interested. Now, talking of rivalries, how about this one? This is a rivalry between Amy Ruman, champion of Trans Am a few years ago, 2-time champion, and Tommy Dreesy, likewise a champion in his own right. But these two have had a fair amount of meetings on track, and Ruman has the huge ability to make that red 23 double the size of it and not let Dreesy anywhere past. And it's pretty fun to watch because she's done it before, she'll do it today.
Yeah, Dreesy's coming up soon. Ruman's going to have to make her car 9 feet wide here in order to keep him behind. He's on a mission right there. He wants it. He's gonna get it eventually. Maybe, we don't know yet. We'll just have to see. What Rumans was gonna have to do is she's gonna have to make him work hard for it, and hopefully Dreesy burns out his tires.
Well, Tommy's watched Days of Thunder. Sometimes he's okay with rubbing his racing sometimes. So This could get interesting.
Got a nice match set of tires, huh?
Yeah.
Well, this battle's going to rage on, but it's still Menard, Andretti, and Dyson. That's your top three. We're watching this battle for fourth place between Ruman and Dreese, both of them coming from the back. Then it's Carlson leading the way in SGT. And here comes Dreese, getting very close indeed. So, as this race continues, a long way to go yet. 8 of the 36 gone, and it's still Menard leading all the way. Where would you make your move if you were Dreese?
You'd have. I mean, this track's interesting, right? There's a lot of corners. Well, there's one groove for one. There's one groove, so you can't go outside that groove. Very easy to make mistakes, but there's a lot of S's. So the first S of that corner, the first corner of those S's, you're going to have to nail it. Because if you don't nail it, the rest of those S sections are going to be messed up. And on top of that, so you got rhythm and setting up corners where you get to set them up for the next corner, but then you got hard braking zones as well and long straightaways. So it's got a combination of everything, this racetrack. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here, and I'm very impressed with Andretti. He's closing the gap. Andretti and Dyson. He's a great driver. He's consistent. He's putting in the laps, and this is what you expect from an Andretti. Oh, here we go.
And that's a turn one classic overtake. And Josh, that's how you teach it.
Exactly. That's beautiful and clean. Now he's going to get his head down and try to chase those other guys down.
Yeah. That's
it's
awesome.
Definitely the right decision by Dreese. Whatever was wrong with the other car, he doesn't seem to be suffering at all. As we take a look at some of the traffic now, this is going to be a factor too for just the leaders and the likes of Dreese, is they're going to come up on the production cars very quickly. And of course they're doing different speeds, they're taking different cornering lines and different braking lines. And so, yeah, they've raced against them before, but this is a new track to most of the field here. I think Dyson is one of the few guys that has raced this track in 2018. The first time we came here, that was a race won by Lawrence Loshak. Dyson was just starting out at that point, but he has raced here, and a lot of the guys have tested here. So there is knowledge of it. Great view of Dyson here.
Really surprised on Dyson with the black to full throttle. He's either taking care of those tires or he's having a problem putting power down. I'm betting it's the first one.
Great battle here for our viewers on MAV TV. This is your home for Trans Am, and we've got some great action here as Andretti and Dyson, two of the biggest names in the motorsport history of America. Andretti family, of course, goes way back. Rob Dyson and Chris Dyson have championships of their very own and continue the dynasty of Lime Rock, which is where, of course, Chris Dyson became synonymous with racing and learned his way of racing. Here's another look at some of the action. And guys, let's have a look at this overtake. Classic.
This is late in the brakes. That's beautiful. Beautiful move. And great keeping the car under control. It's very easy to drive off track there. There's marbles all over the place. If you're Dreese right now, you're going to want a caution. He's going to close the gap, and he'll be right within the podium spots.
Good point.
10 seconds behind. He's going to need a caution.
Why wouldn't Amy close the door a little harder than she did?
Because at a certain point, if you fight him too long, you're only slowing yourselves down.
Right.
If you let him go, you could save your tires a little bit. You could save some time on the racetrack and maybe follow him through to catch the guys in front. 9
laps now led by our leader Paul Menard in the MCO Gears lap leaderboard. And we're looking high above, and we can see from high above where the traffic is. There's Milton. And like I said, 50 years of racing. Wonderful. And still pedaling that great Porsche 55.
So me and Josh just looked at each other before, a little confused, and I am confused. I'm not fully understanding what the game is here. I'm not sure if Andretti is gaining on them and trying to save tires, or Paul Menard's losing tires and they're getting on them, or now Paul Menard was just toying with them for a little bit and just unleashed more pace, because now Andretti and Dyson have fallen back another 1.5 seconds, I believe, in the last couple laps.
Yeah.
Paul is on a mission.
Yeah, I wish we could have seen if they maybe hit traffic at a bad spot, because if you catch somebody in the S's, that you could easily lose a second and a half like that.
That is true.
You can see this lap, the gap was only changed by a tenth. So Paul, hopefully out there, sees that gap is big and is saving some tire. It might be time for Chris to start pressing at him to get by.
Good point, yeah. And the gap, 5.9 seconds. I mean, it's certainly 11 of the 36 gone. There's certainly time. And it's an awkward number, isn't it? 36 laps or 100 miles, because it's kind of a sprint, but it's a heck of a sprint.
Yes. Andretti looks to be struggling right now with rear grip. He got a little wide, and I believe that's turn 4. I'm not fully sure. But he got a little wide there, and if you've been watching his onboard, he's a little wide in a few places. So I'm not sure if he's just searching for grip, running out of tires, or simply just doesn't have the car under him. We'll see. Again, don't know if they have the speed or not. Paul has been kind of toying with us here a little bit. Let's see this next lap if they have clean air and see if they close the gap again.
And Josh, I know you haven't done a great deal of TA racing, but you've been on this track a few laps. I'm interested to see how Chris Dyson takes on this new Burton chassis, because there's been a lot of talk about it. Got its first win at Road Atlanta and has not looked back. But Adam Andretti's raving about it.
Yeah, the car looks beautiful. It's a work of art if you go up to it. Not that that's taking anything away from how the Dyson guys prep their cars, because they're also beautiful. I will say, one of the most terrifying experiences I ever had in a race car was learning this track in a TA car.
What happened?
I got told by my driver, because I was doing some setup work for him on that I have to get out there and do a data lap. You know, that's doing a lap for someone you're coaching and showing them exactly what you're doing so he can learn off of it and get better. Well, I had 4 laps to learn this place in one of those 900 horsepower monsters, not knowing where I was going, and it was terrifying because this track is awesome, but there's a lot of blind corners, and there's a lot of braking zones where if you mess it up, you don't just go a wheel off, you kind of go into the barrier. So it was an adventure, but that doesn't take anything away from this track. This track is incredible to drive.
I feel your pain, Josh. This track is definitely difficult to figure out in 4 laps, I can tell you that. Didn't have the extra 500 horsepower under me, but it's definitely difficult.
Now, Menard coming up on Lee Saunders, who, of course, is in his own battle with SGT. So now it gets a bit dicey because everybody's in their own sort of bubble here because they're fighting for their championship. Meanwhile, TA are now coming through. And it starts to get a little confusing, but I'll keep you up to date with what's happening. You're not going to miss anything, that's for sure. But right now, the TA leaders are coming up on the SGT leaders and making their way through, tiptoeing, if you will, if that's an expression you can use in motor racing. But it is a sense of that. You've got to be careful. You've got to see, how do you judge when you come up on somebody? Do they see me? Do they know it's me? Or how do you go about it?
It can be scary. I mean, you don't necessarily fully know. What I like to do is I'll just stick my nose there, and it depends on how they react, right? If they just come straight down, then you know who you're dealing with. If they move out of your way, then you know who you're dealing with, right? So I kind of just stick my nose in there and experiment, and if they let me go, then you know what kind of driver they are. But it looks like Paul Menard is catching this traffic at just the perfect time right now. It's definitely not helping Andretti and Dyson here. Like, they're stuck behind them right now. You can see them in the background. But Paul's running a great race, saving tires, and is just catching the traffic at a beautiful time.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Josh Carlson, just 18 years of age. He's come, like yourself and many others, he's come, did USAC and competed in SCCA and got some wins there and GT1, and then has come through to Trans Am. And, looking good, just 18 years of age, so watch that name.
Yeah, I just talked to him before. We actually used to race go-karts together. I don't really remember those times, but we used to race, I believe, SCUSA, USP Gas. We raced a lot of those national karting tours with him. He's a cool kid, great kid, and is my age, so I could relate to him, and he's doing the same thing I'm doing. So we both have the same goal, and we're both achieving it. Got
some good sponsors as well, as you could see on the side of the car there. I was asking him about his sponsors earlier in the weekend, and Siva Logistics.
The car looks like it's struggling with rear grip there.
He's moving around a lot. He's a busy boy in that car right now.
I'd like to see an onboard of his hands,
Perfect for the photographers.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Menard, Andretti, Dyson, no change at the front. Dreese up to 4th brilliantly, as Ruman is 5th. And that actually is a real testament to how quickly they've got on board, because only 13 laps gone. And as you two rightly pointed out, if we get a safety car, everything that Menard is doing to the good of 6.3 seconds now could be all brought back to nothing under the safety car if there is an incident.
And we can all say, we did some restarts last race, that the restarts here are insane.
For what reason, though?
Turn 1 is just fast enough that it's not a hard braking zone, so it's not easy to blow by him on the restart.
Right.
And you restart, you approach at a slower speed, so you only slow down a little bit, but it's your opportunity to get by, and everyone's willing to take that risk. So we were going 3-4 wide through there multiple times, and it just stays side by side all the way through turn 5, which is really difficult and creates some rubbing and racing action.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's a weird combination. It's a one-line racetrack, so if the leader gets a better jump anyway going into turn one. You can kind of watch the second placeman wide. But the next corner is a couple thousand feet away, maybe 100 feet. That was probably over-exaggerating. But it's far away, a long straight, so you have another chance for P2 to attack the leader there.
Well, we have 14 laps in the books. Long way to go yet. We are wondering whether a safety car could change the complexion of this. Doesn't matter if we don't get one. But at the moment, it's Menard, Andretti, and Dyson. Those are the top three leading at the moment. I just think, watching this, that Dyson is just waiting. I don't think he has any intention of passing Andretti, and I think he's saving tires behind Andretti.
I mean, it's hard to, honestly. He could be waiting, or he could just be, he might be struggling, honestly. I mean, I found it super, super hard to pass a lot of people. You needed to get your elbows out for sure, but I needed those cautions, which helped me a lot too. I mean, this track's very interesting. It's very fast. There's a lot of dirty air. Tires are going away, so it's almost like Lime Rock in a way when the tires go away. It's a lot of passing opportunities, but when you're in that tire saving phase and you're in that tire wear phase, it gets harder and harder to be able to find the grip in order to get around people.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul Menard is in a world of his own at the moment. 8 seconds he leads. You know, I asked him during the lead up to this race just exactly how he felt at the halfway point. Was he surprised? And he pretty much said no. This is what he planned to do. Dyson didn't get off the ground running as we expect Dyson. He's had some bad luck as well. He was taken out by Ernie Francis Jr., of all people, at Sebring. That didn't start the year as he wanted. Then, funnily enough, Andretti tapped him at Lime Rock, his home track where he always wins by a country mile. That didn't work out, but he still got some good points out of it. So Dyson's been chasing it, and with Andretti coming in with his new Burton car as well and taking a win himself and certainly some points, it's changed the face of this championship. And at the halfway point, Menard looking very good for a title.
Yeah, and for the people who are watching this who are Trans Am fans and not NASCAR fans, Paul Menard's not exactly an inexperienced racer. He's won NASCAR Cup races, so if you haven't heard the name before, you should. That's a very experienced racing driver in a Rocket Sports car. And Rocket Sports is definitely not new to Trans Am.
No question, indeed. Yeah, and Paul Menard, of course. Menards themselves are a huge sponsor of ARCA. And we welcome once again our viewers back on MAV TV. Yeah, Menards have been a huge part of racing across the board. And I was asking him about the power tools, which is on the front of the car. And he said, well, Master Tools, they're sold in all of our Menards across 15 states. And I said, good to know. And so Paul Menard flying the flag with the family name, but also doing some good advertising for the family business. Nicely done. And the MCO Gear lap leaderboard shows us 15 laps he's led, and in that 15 laps he's got 7.7 seconds. He's totally in control of this of this race at the moment. And guys, would you start to be thinking, you mentioned that Menard can be tough on tires, should he knock it down a bit?
Yeah, I mean, you got 8 seconds. There's no need to push any harder, especially if there's a yellow. You do it for no reason. But honestly, I'm really confused at this point. I mean, one lap, Andretti and Dyson are 0.3 quicker. Then the next lap, Paul's a second quicker. Then the next lap, Andretti or Dyson take a 0.7 out of the gap again. So I really don't understand. It was 8 seconds before. It's now 7.7. Maybe it was traffic. I'm not fully sure. But it keeps fluctuating.
Yeah, well, look at their last lap. They're all pretty much identical, just with a couple of tenths between them in terms of lap time overall. Menard doing a 140, Adam doing a 139, and a 140.1 by Dyson. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
This is going to be interesting. Definitely, we have a battle for P2, that's for sure. And if we catch P1, it'll be a three-way battle. But regardless, this is going to be interesting all the way to the end. I'm not sure who I want to beat who at this moment. Andretti was the guy who helped me get this car in some sort of piece in order to race this week, and then Dyson's my ride to the airport today. So I don't know who to choose.
Well, I think some of what you're seeing might be Dyson suffering in the dirty air a little bit, because these cars are even more susceptible to it than the TA2s are. So I think some of that is Dyson struggling with the dirty air. So I think he needs to start putting the pressure on and try to make it happen now.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what we got here. It looks like Dyson is getting loose on the exit. It looks like he gets tight in the middle, probably with that dirty air. and then just spins the tires off the corner. And it looks like Andretti's searching for grip as well. But when you're behind a car in dirty air, you either have to go narrower or wider than the guy in front of you by half a car usually. But just to get some air and downforce on your race car in order to get it around the corner.
And in these CAs, it's almost always narrower. When you go wider, they're so wide. They put out such a big aero wake. You go wide, you even lose more. So you almost always have to go narrower with these cars.
You would know better than me. But I understand the concept. It should be interesting here. Let's see what Dyson does. See where he searches for the grip. And look at that. Look, again, Menard, 8.2. I bet you it goes down again, another 5/10 next lap by Andretti. So I'm not fully sure right now what's going on. Up front or with Andretti and Dyson. It looks like it just keeps fluctuating. So at this point, it could go completely down or up at the same time.
And it looks like we have a little battle right here.
This is for SGT, and of course Richard Forsyth in the green and black car right there is chasing Lee Saunders down for the lead. He leads the overall championship in SGT after a great start to the season with 289 points. Lee Saunders, though, has only 82 points and hasn't done all the rounds. So Lee will be very motivated. I spoke to him after qualifying yesterday, and he was delighted, almost surprised that he had pole position coming into a track that he'd not raced at, the man from Florida. But here is Richard Forsyth in the 58, coming strong right now. Overall 7th. 8th, and chasing down Saunders in 7th.
And a classic battle. What do you get? Corvette versus Viper. We've been watching that for years. It's always a fun battle to watch. Very different cars. Even though it's the same layout, you have that big V10 in the Viper. Corvette probably corners a little bit better. Really fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's almost become a joke because Lee Saunders is so faithful to that Viper. He just loves it, and they love him. And he's stuck with that number 84, and he's stuck with the Viper mark for many years. He's a multiple SGT champion. But that's why this is such a good battle, because Richard Forsyth has come in and said, nope, I'm going to get my Corvette up there and do what I do.
I don't know. I got my money on the green Corvette here.
Okay.
Let's see what he's got. Let's see what the time is here with Andretti and Menard. I'm keeping a close eye on this because it keeps fluctuating like crazy. You can see Menard pulled another half a second that lap. Let's see what it is this next time by. Where are they on the race?
Oh, they're still about 30 seconds away, I think.
30 seconds away. We'll find out.
It was 8.8 last time.
Yeah, it looks like Dyson. I'm not sure if Dyson's backing off to save some tire here and to attack again, or Dyson's losing some tires here. But being behind in that dirty air could absolutely kill your tires, and that might be what's happening to Dyson right now.
We often see this in TA racing. It spreads right out, and then suddenly something happens, and it changes the complete complexion of the race for everybody, all the categories.
And this is interesting, too. It looks like that Viper struggling at turn 5, which actually has to be one of the most difficult corners I've ever been to. It's so hard to put the power down there. You hit the hill at a really hard time, and when those front tires hit the hill, it wants to rotate the car and cause all sorts of wheel spin. Definitely something harder to deal with in the Viper than the Corvette, and I think that's why you're seeing them close up just a little bit.
Yep, I got my money on the green Corvette. Here he comes.
Josh, you're a sim man. I was told that this track, or Ben Mayhem in his press release said iRacing doesn't have this track. So where would you go and get sims on this?
So a few people used the R-Factor for it. I have not used the R-Factor model, but funny you should mention that. There's actually a great Trans Am E-Series story about this track. When I won that championship, the final round I contested here at the Pro Shop at Pitt Raceway because I was coaching a driver in our Formula Regional Series. So I brought my pedals because the pedals are the most important part.
I remember you telling me that.
I brought my VR headset, and I actually clinched the championship in the Pro Shop right here at Pitt Raceway.
Well, I want to announce to you boys, Milton Grant's taking an early break. What's happened to the 55? This is not a scheduled pit stop, so he's got some sort of problems. But after 50 years, you can take a break in the race.
Looks like they're checking tire pressures. Maybe he feels like he has a tire going down. I'm not fully sure. The car looks fine, so I don't know. Let's see.
Well, I just want to lay down the gauntlet, boys. I've got my rig. Got my Moser wheels. My Moser wheel. I've got my pedals, my live pedals. Got my heavy braking. So I'm ready to go.
Sorry. I thought that was the Viper, and it's the Maserati. I believe that's Colin Cohen letting the traffic through, but I thought we had a pass there for a second.
Listen, I'm ready any day, anytime, anywhere. Put it on the calendar. I'll show you how to drive.
All right, I'll take it on. But at the moment, it's the Menards Master Force Tools Ford Mustang for GT3 Racing doing the business out front, and the gap is 9 seconds now to Andretti and Dyson. They're in their own little world, are those two. And this battle in SGT is also in its own little battle. But 19 laps now from the MCO Gears leaderboard tells us that Menard is definitely in control of this race. He's going to move it to 10 seconds. He already has. In fact, it's 9.9 as we stand. And As Thomas has pointed out, it's fluctuating a little bit, so it's hard to gauge just exactly who is competitive. And also, we're getting to that point in the in the race after 20 laps where, I don't know, boys, you start thinking about the end of the race and how much you can push, right?
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Paul Menard definitely seems to me like he has the most control over this race right now. 9.9 seconds, another 9/10 over a course of 1 lap. I mean, I can't assume that Andretti and Dyson are just catching traffic at the worst time every time. So I'm not fully sure what's going on. They still have 19 laps. I would say they're running out of time now. 9 seconds, or really 10 seconds, is hard to gain. So let's see what they got.
So we're looking at Chris Coffey, who, of course, is racing hard in GT. He's had a busy day. We'll talk more about that in a moment.
Chris Coffey.
So he's sponsored by Traffic Graphics, and that's out of Dallas, I believe. And he said they wanted to paint my car, and I said, go for it. And I think they've done a pretty good job. I think they're advertising themselves well, because you can't miss it. Chill out on the front, coffee there, and then the graphics on the side there, and that beautiful Maserati. But he's been working on the other Maserati of Cohen all weekend, all night, yeah?
And working on his own, too, because he's supposed to prep and turn his car around. Really amazing guy. He does all the prep on these race cars, gets in, drives them, does a really good job driving the car. I've actually had the pleasure of coaching him and Colin a little bit, and I can say Chris is doing a stellar job, even if he wasn't doing all that work. It'd be really interesting to see him actually have a weekend where he didn't have to work on anything and just had to drive.
I saw him last night. Yeah, I saw him last night as I was leaving the circuit, and I was like, I looked at the other car, and I said, it'll buff out. And he just rolled his eyes, with like, no.
Yeah, he was not too happy with our weather today being so warm, because I think he's a little tired, but he's soldiering on and getting through it and leading this championship and having a nice race.
Guys, do you partition the races when you have 100 miles like this? Do you say, right, I want to get to lap 25 and then talk to my engineer? Or, how do you play it in that respect? Or is it just feel?
It depends. It depends on the situation you're in. I mean, if you start in the back, you kind of just go as hard as you can and try to pass as many people as possible and hope you have tires at the end. If you're at the top of the field, you're probably going to have to calm it down and almost try to play the tire game like we're seeing right here, and try to save tires and beat your competitor at the end of the race. It really all depends. You could be saving your tires, and then there's a caution, and then you have to attack. So now you have to use all your tire in order to attack and try to gain time.
Well, this is a fascinating battle at 160 miles an hour down through the hill country of Pennsylvania. And Paul Menard, a famous name in racing and a famous family name of sponsors, doing the business. He's had a whole career at the very top of NASCAR, Cup Car racing, trucks and Xfinity. Long career, but now has chosen Trans Am as his place to enjoy his weekends. And he doesn't see it as serious as his NASCAR career, but boy, now he's got the bit between his teeth. Now he's leading the championship. Started this weekend 19 points ahead of Dyson, and he knows that Dyson's ever going to be present in every race coming up. But there's some good circuits to come, from Mid-Ohio to Road America, Watkins Glen, COTA, of course, and VIR. Long way to go yet in this championship, but it would be lovely to see Menard get a championship under his belt, especially with the experience and age he's got.
Yeah, Menard definitely has the momentum right now. Same way Rafa Matos has the momentum in the TA2 class, but there's 6 races to go. You got mechanicals that could happen. There's bad days for every one of us, all right? So you gotta bank on those days, and there's weather that could play as well. You just never know when things could happen, and weather could change everything, right? So there's 6 races left, and there's 6 more chances for Andretti and Dyson to close this gap.
That's something I'm jealous of you over, not that you mentioned Rafa, that you have so many fast drivers over at Nitro to overlay data. It must be really fascinating to see the driver differences and pick it apart. Because, I mean, I've known Rafa, actually. We worked at the same go-kart shop. I've known him for so long. But just picking all that apart between you and Ben and Rafa, and there's so many fast guys there, must really help you guys.
It definitely does. It's interesting, right? So we got Ben Mayer, Brent Cruz sometimes, Rafa Matos, Tyler Casera, Gonzalez. We're all, some of us are within half a second to a few tenths of each other, and some of us run the same exact time. And we'll look at the data, and we all have the complete opposite driving styles. of each other. I'm more of a bonsai into the corner and hopefully make it out. What's his face?
Josh doesn't teach bonsai.
Nah, Ben Mayer's smooth, calm, collected. Brent's smooth, calm, and collected too, but he's very, very early on the throttle is what I've found to learn from him. And same with Tyler Casera. He's more on the smoother side. But there's just so many different driving styles that all add up to the same exact lap time, and even car setup. We have the exact opposite car setup.
That's what I was going to ask. How similar are the cars?
One of us will try something different. We'll all start at baseline, then one of us will try something different. The other one will try something completely opposite, and then eventually whatever works, we'll all kind of go back to. And sometimes they both work. Sometimes
can I borrow one of you guys to drive a second PC car? Because I could really use a fast teammate to help us move things down the road a little faster.
Next NASCAR race, you could jump in my car.
Guys, in a couple of laps, we're going to be down to the last 10 laps, and it's going to be, all right, do something or don't do it at all kind of thing, because they've been like this now for a good half hour, 45 minutes, and neither has given an inch, and they both kind of kept this pace and distance between themselves. During traffic there a moment ago, Dyson lost out a little bit of time, but has caught it back up now. They're in clean air. What's your thought on how these two will go at it for the last 10 laps?
Well, first of all, I think we should put a piece of tape over Menard's name. I'm looking. To me, the leaders are Andretti and Dyson. I feel like I'm watching Max Verstappen in Formula One over the last couple of years. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to a tire management game, and on top of that, I think it's going to come down to lap traffic. It looks like Dyson is closing the gap again, so he's found a way to find more grip around the racetrack, and he's gaining a lot on Andretti. Now,
but pair of them are losing ground to Menard now. Look, 13.7 seconds, but now back into traffic again.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's in traffic right now.
Yeah, he's in heavy traffic, and in a bit of an awkward spot, too. He'll get this next one down the straight, but I think there's a few right in front of them.
Yeah, this is not what he needs.
And he's actually, those guys are battling for their own battle.
They're in their own battle for SGT.
He's catching him at the perfect times, on top of his speed. Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think Andretti and Dyson, I'm not going to choose. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
You just want to ride. I'll give you a ride to the airport. I'll give you a ride. It's fine. I'll go to the airport.
Don't hold back, Thomas. That's the beauty of... you can say what you like. They won't listen back to the tape. They won't call you later next week and say, what were you saying? It's always fun to be in the booth, see a different perspective. Talking of different perspectives, here's Dreesy getting through on Kaylee Bryson.
And you can see them using the technique I was talking about before. You got to stick your nose in there, and you saw Paul Menard doing it before. Stick your nose in there and see how they're going to react and see if they're aware. And once they're aware, you can finally go and trust them.
Well, Kaylee's really new to Trans Am. This is her first year out. She got a diversity scholarship, and really enjoying it. And she's learned quickly too, and has already had a win to her name. And so good to see. But they were struggling with that car last night, but it looks as though they've at least got it going to the point where she can finish in the top 10. Dreesy just scything his way through bit by bit. Dreesy, though, in 4th position, a long way off the battle for the lead. Meanwhile, Richard Forsyth is trying to put the pressure on former SGT champion. And that, of course, is Lee Saunders from Florida.
This is fun. We got multiple little battles. I still got my money in this Corvette. Time's running out, but I'm watching him. I'm waiting for that number 58 Corvette to go around.
So is he returning your rental car? Because everyone else you're rooting for has either drove your car or taken to the airport. So what's he doing for you?
I don't know. I mean, I do associate myself with the color green. Right?
I'm not going gambling with you. You'd never decide.
No.
But it's such a good battle. I love seeing the Corvette and Vipers out here. It's always fun to see the production class, kind of a hallmark to what Trans Am used to be, and way back when it first started. And then, of course, the big TA cars are what it is now, and our TA2 cars.
That's right.
Well, less than 10 laps to go in our Trans Am series presented by Pirelli here at Pitt Race. At the moment, Paul Menard leads by 13.9 seconds over Andretti and Dyson. Still, though, there could be a twist. And I just wonder what that twist might be. And it might be Chris trying to use the traffic to get on. I know one thing. Dyson doesn't want to stay third. He knows that the championship is ebbing away from him if he's not careful, especially with Menard winning back-to-back from Lime Rock, where supposedly Dyson doesn't lose. In fact, he was on for his 4th win there a couple of weeks ago. He didn't get it. Here comes the traffic. Here comes Dyson's chance.
Oh, boy.
This might be it.
This is huge.
How bad of a run will he get out of there?
You can see, I mean, they don't have the pace that Menard does, but they're just catching traffic at the worst time. But this is going to be good for Dyson. Actually, it might not be. If Dyson does not...
He's not going to
He
clear
needs
the
to clear
Viper.
Saunders.
You're right.
No, he hasn't done it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know whether whether there's something wrong with the car or not, but Dyson doesn't look as aggressive as he's often looks at this stage in the race. It looks as though he's got a struggle on his hands. Or Andretti's just driving really, really well.
Oh, I was hoping for that onboard to stay on a little bit longer. It'd be really interesting to see what he's dealing with in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes as a race car driver, when you don't necessarily have the car that could win under you, it's better to finish third than to wreck out trying to finish second or first, right? Sometimes you can't take that car that's not handling the way you need it to, and it's not as quick as the leaders, and it's just better to finish third instead of trying to win with it, because that's the one way you're going to lose this championship. So you got to stay in it.
Well, Andretti even had a problem in the dying seconds of his win at Road Atlanta, and he had to kind of nurse the car across the line, and he made it. And so that was a great bit of management by Adam Andretti, and the problem only came in the latter half of the race, so he'll be all too aware of that. But the traffic continues to be a problem, and Andretti trying to stretch his legs here as we are getting down to the nitty-gritty of this race. 26 of the 36 laps completed here on MAV, and for our Trans Am presented by Pirelli TA race, two double headers, or a double header this weekend with both of the Trans Am races on the Sunday. It's been delightful to see, and a lot of great racing all on the same day. No rain in the area, I'm glad to say, but it has been the story of the day, which is the MCO Gears lap leaderboard telling us that 26 now of all of the laps have been led by Paul Menard. It has been a masterclass. And Josh Hurley, as an instructor and driver yourself, you're pretty impressed with this.
Yeah, very. Those guys have that car down. He's driving away. I'm sure he's not using the tire now. I'm sure he's just cruising the finish, because with 15 seconds, you can bleed a lot of time because there's only 10 laps left. So that gives you more than a second of lap to bleed off. So I'm sure he's going to start just driving it nice and smooth and taking care of it. And then last lap, Dyson really had a struggle. Josh Carlson was in front of him. Josh has his hands full in that car, and it got sideways in front of Dyson, so it made that gap a little bit wider between Dyson and Andretti, so he's going to have to push hard to get at him.
Yeah, they'll be on the radio telling Dyson to throw everything at it now at this point. He's only got 9 laps left, and he needs to gain 2.2 seconds. At this point, there is no more saving tires. It's just who could get in front of who, because track position is king here.
I'm starting to listen to your idea of Richard Forsyth trying to get through on Lee Saunders, because it's only a matter of time, but it looks as though he's ready to make a pounce at some point, right?
Oh, big wiggle out of the Viper there.
That'll help.
Give me my money. Here I come.
Yeah, he's getting closer. No question about it. It's been a good season for Richard.
Yeah, those G-Speed guys really prep an interesting car. It's cool to see how much work goes in the production car.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work. It's not like the GT4 cars where Chevy sells them the car. They have to build and prep, and they get to make all sorts of interesting pieces for this car.
Hey, wait a minute. This is going to be interesting. They're catching Carlson right here, and Carlson's got a faster car in a straight line. But it seems like he's struggling with it through the corners, and the Viper and the Corvette is faster through the corners. So they're going to have to figure out a way how to get past Carlson and without losing too much time, and without him passing them straight back on the straightaway.
Yeah, ultimately they'd like to pass it before this first corner, because you're now heading downhill towards the bowl, and if you don't do it by then, the S is, I wouldn't say it's impossible to pass, but it's not easy, right?
It takes some rubbing his racing, and he and I would know, because we doored each other, and the S is pretty good.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
That was fun.
Well, at least you could talk about it and have fun about it now.
I left my autograph there.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of rubber.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. He's got way more horsepower. Even though he's getting lapped right now, he's got way more horsepower. So it's going to be very, very hard to get around these guys, get around him from the perspective of the Corvette and the Viper.
By the way, that Q code on the side of Forsyth's car, I tried it out. It works. I don't know why I'm surprised, but you can get all the information about the Forsyth team and the stats that they need to tell you and all their business. So it's all there. So if you see it, stop your TV and take the Q code.
Plus in marketing right there.
There you go.
This is going to be an interesting battle, because Josh has his hands full. You can see that thing sliding everywhere, and these guys got to try to get by him. That is going to make this an interesting race.
Oh, look at that rubber.
I don't think they're going to get by him. Look at this. They got a 1,000-foot straightaway coming up.
Yeah, he's going to take off.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Come on.
Here we go. Classic.
He's going to be disappointed if he watches this back and realizes he didn't get this, because I have all my bets on him right now.
Yeah, Lee Saunders is a wily old fox, though. He knows that Forsyth, but he's in trouble too, isn't he? Look. But he knows that Forsyth's best chance is for him to get stuck behind Josh, and Josh is just sliding everywhere. He's got nothing underneath him, has he? It's like he's on ice.
He was laying some nice black stripes out of the last corner.
Look at that. Look at the horsepower. Look at the horsepower.
Here we go.
Oh, here comes the Corvette. Here comes the green Corvette. This is interesting, and this is another long straightaway.
And that rise, I'm sure Josh is going to get big wheel spin up and over the crest, which the other guys won't. So it's so hard to pass somebody like that when they're that sideways, because you can't sacrifice your own chance to get hit by them.
Worst time to catch.
Yeah,
under-braking.
Under-braking. Here he goes.
Really he's going to send it.
Oh, he sends him.
Oh, my gosh.
Lee.
Oh, my gosh. I think that, that's a penalty. My guy's going to win.
I'm afraid, I'm afraid. I haven't been to either of your race schools, but I'm sure you wouldn't teach me to do that.
Well, I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, it's a lap car.
No, I know. And you're fighting.
Yeah, you're fighting. I'm not sure how they're going to call that. But regardless, however they call, I'm going to get my money.
And it wasn't a lap car for overall position. It actually was a battle. No, they're on the same lap.
It's definitely my money. Here comes Tracy.
Here comes Tracy. Look at him go. Now let's have another look at it, boys.
I understand what he's trying to do here, and I feel for him. You can't really get around him anywhere else, but.
Yeah, it was that time in the race where he's got to try something. He just, it's what they say. He lunged from a long way back, right?
Yeah, and that's another example, right? He stuck his nose in there, probably a little too far. I don't think Carlson knew he was going to be there.
No, I don't think so.
But that's another thing that you got to be careful of when you're lapping or passing people. You got to trust them. You got to be able to know that they're aware enough to race against. So I'm not putting that on Carlson, but that was for sure aggressive from the Viper right there.
Especially when you see what Josh was hanging on to. Whoa, and the Corvette almost hits two wheels. He's going for the pass on Saunders. This is going to be a good battle. I kind of hope, if there is a penalty, I kind of hope it comes post-race, because we're getting a great battle right now.
Yeah, I think it will. But now Lee Saunders has definitely got his work cut out. They've got Milton Grant in front, because Dreesy will pass Grant fairly quickly. It's good to see Milton got back out, having done a little check on the tyre pressures. But Milton Grant could be the next guy they come up on. And whoa! What's happened here? The top liner has gone to bottom liner in 17. In Adam Andretti has parked up the Burton car. What has happened?
That is huge for the championship.
Massive.
Oh my!
What a shame. That is just awful. After what had been an excellent run by Adam Andretti, got a brilliant start. And now he's got nowhere to go.
Now you got to feel for him, especially that late into the race.
Yeah.
It's a hot, exhausting race. You work the whole weekend to get the car where it needs to be and get these points, and he's not going to come home with any.
The amazing part is that Dreesy's going to be on the podium in TA.
Yeah, from dead last. That's incredible.
Amazing. And that does no harm to his championship as well, because Tommy Dreesy was 8 points behind Andretti coming into this round, and so therefore he'll go ahead. He'll go to third in the championship.
This also helps Dyson. Dyson second isn't going to lose too many points to Menard. So listen, it's too early in the season to know, but things could happen, and this just helped them big time. As we see the Viper getting held up by the Porsche we saw in the pits earlier.
Yes.
Here comes the
Just
Corvette.
to clarify that, they're all SGT cars, but the car leading these three is a lap down.
Yes.
And they're catching him at such an awkward time.
Yeah.
This is going to give... Man, they keep giving Grant some chances here.
It still says Andretti.
Forsyth some chances here.
Yeah, they do. It is the Forsyth saga.
Ooh. Okay, we're good. I thought the Porsche was going to outbrake himself there.
That's what it felt like when we were racing each other. Okay, we're good.
Well, both of them have cleared him, but time running out. 31 laps of the 36. There's certainly time for Forsyth to make a move. But what a cracking race this is turning out to be. The question is, can Richard Forsyth make one last gasp? But there's no question about who is going to totally dominate proceedings here He's led 30 laps now, has Paul Menard in the black and green number 3, and has been a masterclass, quite literally. 28 seconds, as well as leading every lap.
You can see him pulling back now. He's not charging into the corners too hard. He's not carrying a lot of speed into these corners. You can see he has perfect traction off each corner. He's been saving his tires beautifully and looks almost slower than Dyson and Andretti was, but it's faster.
He might even be slower now. I don't think you have to go too hard if you're Menard, because he's got that big gap and he's just maintaining it.
Let's see. It was 28 seconds before. We got to wait for it to update. Let's see if you're right.
At least I'd be going easy, but that's
I
want to bring it home.
Absolutely, but I think that's what I'm saying. I think, yeah, Menard pulled again. I don't think Menard's pushing, but I just think that everyone else pushed too hard to where Menard, without pushing or without trying, is still increasing the gap.
The car's just fast. They nailed the setup here.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
Tommy's got to keep the concentration because it's tiring, obviously, coming from the back, but he needs to make sure he gets to the finish. We've had times where Tommy's been so close to a podium and it just goes wrong, a mistake here or gets stuck in traffic, and now I'm sure he'll be concentrating hard. He'll have Ken on the radio, I'm sure, advising him. Amy Ruman, though, still in 4th position. She's going to score good points out of this weekend. It's been a topsy-turvy weekend for the team, coming late and not getting the practice that they wanted. And so it's not been an easy weekend for them at Nichols 23. But again, like Tracy, she's going to get some big points out of this one, the former champion. But it's still Menard, Dyson, and Dreesy. And now with 32 of the 36 laps led, we welcome our viewers back on MAV TV, your home of Trans Am racing. And it's been a cracking race of different sorts for the aficionados to see Menard have a 30-second lead, having led every lap so far. Meanwhile, this battle in SGT has roared on, and it's not over yet. Richard Forsyth trying desperately to get on level terms with Lee Saunders, a former champion himself, and this is a great little battle. Lee has not done the full season, and at the start of this season, Richard Forsyth has been dominant. But as you can see, boys, where is he going to finally make the move?
That's a good question. I don't know what's going on at this point. I mean, they're so close to each other, but it looks like the Viper just gets better exits at each corner, and it looks like the Corvette gains on entry. So I'm not sure. I mean, it looks like the Corvette might be struggling with some understeer.
Yeah.
And the Viper's just holding his own. So let's see. Like right here through this section, the front end is what's going to determine the exit off that corner onto the straightaway, and it looks like he just loses. Like right there, he lost a good couple tenths there because he probably couldn't get down the hill and get in the throttle as soon as the Viper.
If I'm coaching Saunders right now, I'm saying just hit your marks and be smooth with it, because if you get good exits, you'll drive away. You just need to open up a little bit on the exit so you can get away from that brake attack from Forsyth there.
So if this is me, if you're looking at that right now, and when you're behind a driver for this long, you study where they're weaker and where they're stronger. If I'm the Corvette right now, the Viper is its weakest point in the last final corner under braking. That's where the Corvette is gaining its most time. So he's got to manage that gap, and by the time he gets that extra bit closer, just close enough to where you could sneak it in, he should roll off the brake, take the move.
See the braking here. It gets right close, doesn't he?
Yeah, and big time in the last corner. Watch it next time. He almost rear-ended him.
Yeah, he did. No, you're absolutely right. Good observation, and you're right. You'd think he could make a lunge maybe on the penultimate or the last lap.
Yes, that's where I made a lot of my moves today, just rolling off the brake sooner than everyone else and realizing that they're braking earlier than me in that specific section, so the next lap you catch them by surprise.
Yeah, good. Good insight. You're listening to Thomas Annunziata and Josh Hurley, our TA2 drivers who were out in action here at Pit Race earlier in the day. Both getting good results.
Oh, this is close now, and he's driving off straighter and squarer.
It just looks like the Corvette's overdriving, and the Viper's almost underdriving to a way, but it's helping him because he's getting the drive he needs out of each corner.
Yeah, if I'm the Viper, I want to underdrive just a little bit because a mistake is what will cost you the spot. If you can keep it clean and get good exits, I think he can hold on to it.
I'm surprised that Corvette hasn't lost the front end yet at this point. Those tires are gone.
I was about to say, how about tire deg on the production cars? Is it worse or just the same?
It's actually usually a little better, especially in the GT class where you have some of the aids the GT4 cars have. but they have bigger tires relative to their weight than like you'll see in the TA2 or in the TA. You just have so much power and so much load. It's easy to blow the tire off. So it's usually a little better in the production classes if you get the car set up dead right. They're a little harder to set up because you're kind of stuck with some street car habits, so that can hurt a little bit. But these are two good teams, so I'm sure they're set up to take care of the tires pretty well.
Here we go, 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm going to say, we're going to concentrate on this, but you're not missing anything at the front. 35 seconds Menard leads now over Dyson in second. We've lost Andretti, that's the big story, and a real sad loss too, because he had a great battle with Dyson throughout this race. Dyson now gifted second place, and Dreese even more so gifted a podium, having started right at the very back, swapping cars overnight due to the fact that he couldn't get the setup right in his prime car, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, that's so unfortunate for Andretti. I mean, he's worked so hard to get his car where he needs it to be, and he worked so hard in general, and he just did not deserve that. I mean, great for everyone else. Dreese's going to be on the podium, which it sounds like first time in a while, but I got to feel for Andretti. He did not deserve that.
Meanwhile, the battle in SGT and GT holding up nicely. Richard Forsyth trying to stop Lee Saunders. Meanwhile, just ahead of them, Josh Carlson still going in 6th place, despite the fact that he got a little turnaround.
It's like there's a bubble in between these guys, and the Corvette cannot break it.
Chris Coffey will win in GT if he continues to stay in 9th position at the moment.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah,
Chris Coffey. Great name. Great car. Great scheme.
You should see his logo for Coffey Motorsports. It's fantastic.
Is it a Coffey mug?
Yeah, it is fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Time running out then, 35 of the 36, but it's all been green and black all afternoon. And this man, Paul Menard, is putting on a masterclass here in TA. Decided to run the full season, and he isn't going to be disappointed because he's led the championship for the entire season so far.
All right, here we go. Final lap. Come on, boys.
Come on, boys. Come on, Richard. Make that move.
Yes.
So is this going to end in tears, or is this going to end pretty?
Paul Menard takes the white flag.
Oh, come on. He might lap him before they get to the end of this thing. This could be interesting.
Final lap then for...
Come on, don't fail me,
Master
Corvette.
Force Tools Ford Mustang.
Don't fail me here. Deep on the brakes. Look at that.
Yeah,
look at that.
nicely
See that?
done. Look, yeah.
They're both doing different things.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the production cars, because the cars are just different enough. They have different strengths and weaknesses.
Yep.
Where when the cars are, all the TAs, there are strengths and weaknesses, but they're small. Here you can see big deltas.
Huge gains. Right there. Come on.
Lee's got the windows down. He's getting plenty of fresh air. Not using the air conditioner, getting extra power.
That exit speed of that Viper.
That torque, big V10.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
Watch
where
under
he gains
braking.
it. But under braking, you can see.
Where's he going? Okay, here we go.
I think you're right,
Atta
Thomas.
boy,
I think he's going to make a last lunge on the last corner.
Oh, boy. Come on. He's got to get closer than this, though. He's got to get closer than this. Do it right.
Cube 3, turn 17.
And
that's
here
very
comes
good.
Menard
Turn
right
17.
behind them.
Yeah.
Come on.
Could all end in tears.
Oh, boy.
He is struggling as Lee Saunders just to keep it on the straight and narrow, the car underneath him.
Come on.
And if I'm Menard, I see this in front of me, I want no part of this.
No.
I'm throttling back because I have the gap to do so.
Yeah, you would. No question.
Is he close enough?
I don't think.
Wait a minute. Yo, what? Come on.
This is going to be really close.
He's going to have to send it. He's going to have to send it. Come on.
Yeah, it looks as though Andretti had no engine power.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Here it
and
is.
he's to the side.
Oh,
He's going to get crossed over.
Lee Saunders, the wily fox.
No.
Says no. Yes, you can overtake me, but I'm taking you back, and I don't think he's going to have time to do it. And Enciata called it perfectly, but unfortunately, he hadn't questioned the fact that Lee Saunders was ready.
Oh.
And he comes across the line, and Menard wins in style here at Pit Race. What a magnificent Menard's effort there by Paul to win well ahead of Dyson.
That means we have one more lap of this SGT battle, doesn't
Yes,
it?
we do.
What's going on?
What's going on? About that.
Wait, what?
That's a good point.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, here's your second place man in the Jim Weed 16, and we've seen it's a familiar sight as he goes for yet another title. He's dominated TA over the last couple of years and was planning to do the same in 2024, but he's had a struggle on, has Dyson, but the season is only halfway over and we've got a long way to go.
Great
Here he comes, takes second place.
Great result for him, and unfortunately...
There we go.
Here we go. That's the pass.
Yes!
In a weird in a weird corner. It's so hard to pass.
Slide job. Okay, wait. The Viper's got serious speed on exits.
The grunt of the Viper.
Oh boy.
Get those mice pedaling, guys.
Oh my gosh. What a move.
I bet you, we didn't get to see it, but I bet you the Viper got some wheel spin out of 5 and that gave him the run.
These guys are saving the race.
And look,
right
he's
now.
really trying to gap himself now.
Let's see. Oh, the Viper's attacking those curbs. Trying to get as close as possible. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Well, this is his best chance. This is where the Viper can open up because it's just 2 kinks after this point, isn't it?
I don't think he's.
But we've seen Forsyth is so good on the brakes. All he has to do is hit his marks. Don't make a mistake and not buckle under the pressure.
I'm glad we got that extra lap. That's fun.
Yeah, that was awesome. Hey, look, I got it.
You got it. You called it.
I told you guys. I called exactly where he was going to pass.
No, you said it was going to be the last corner.
That doesn't count.
Richard Forsyth then coming over the line for SGT. It's been a cracking battle between he and Lee Saunders. And now the checkered flag is out. And Richard Saunders gets his arm out of the cockpit and says, hey, I like that one. And we did too.
Right.
Lee Saunders could be well happy. He's a great competitor and a lovely man in the 84. I'm sure they'll give each other a big hug and have plenty to talk about. But your race winner is Paul Menard. And that is another excellent back-to-back win now for Paul Menard as he extends his lead in the championship. Dyson, though, did the work he needed to, got the 2nd place, and you have to feel for Adam Andretti, whose engine just wouldn't go the distance today, but he'll be back, I'm sure, at Mid-Ohio. But great racing throughout. My thanks to Thomas Annunziata and to, of course, Josh Hurley for being in the booth. Whew, take a breath. We'll take a breath. That was fun. And Ben Sissel, of course, will be down there in winner's circle. Nice call, Thomas. You called that one.
Yep, that was a great race. You see, Paul Menard, unfortunately, was suffering from success. Didn't get much screen time. A whole minute ahead almost. That was great from him, and those guys saved the race. I can't wait for that green Corvette to rewatch this replay. I'm sure he'd be very proud. He made me proud today.
That's good stuff.
Man, and I can tell you what, Forsyth needs to go over to Paul Menard and give him a handshake because if he would have lapped him, that would have been it. He wouldn't have got that last lap battle. So Forsyth, the 2 green cars helping each other out a little bit inadvertently.
Yeah, what a race.
Well, let's take a look at what was a great Trans Am race. Here are the highlights. And we started off with the green and black of Paul Menard leading the way. Dyson got away well. Dreesy and Amy Ruman were able to side their way through quickly. But then the battle started to commence between the pair of them. A little lock up there from Amy Ruman. And as they have done so many times before, they battled it out again, did Dreesy and Ruman. Meanwhile, at the front, Menard was extending that lead. Here was a nice move by Dreesy to do one of his overtakes as he scythed his way through. Menard, though, was building, and building fast, too. He had 9 seconds by the first 10 laps, but then disaster for the top line of 17, as sadly Andretti stops on track, but it didn't stop Paul Menard, who wins here at Pit Race, and as you can see, is about to get the helmet off and talk to our own Ben Sissel. But another very, very good victory. And like I said, as we reach the halfway point in this series, you're starting to look like a man chasing a title. Let's head down in a moment to Ben Sissel, because when he is ready, we will speak to him. He's having a quick chat with the officials. Let's head down now to Ben Sissel, who's got our winner for the Master Force Tools, Paul Menard.
Well, Paul Menard, Master Force Tools, unbelievable. That is not the outcome I was expecting, to go from green flag to checker with no full course cautions at a track that most of the drivers are unfamiliar with. But, man, what a great race.
Yeah, great facility. I mean, the track has room to pass. It has lots of runoff. I saw there's some cars out there kicking up dirt, grass, whatever, but awesome facility, man. You don't get race cars like this very often. I just I pushed hard at the beginning, kind of set a gap, and then just try to manage the tires. This is it's hard on tires. This facility is, the surface is. I think we saw that with Chris and Adam. Just trying to save tires in case a restart came out at the end and never did. Just so proud of Tony and John, Paul Gentilozzi back home, putting together this race team and let me come play with it.
Well, congratulations. And you feel like you could go out there and race another 50 miles right now?
If I had new tires, for sure. It was slippery.
All right, well, thank you very much, Paul Menard. But I'm going to come back here. I want to come back here to the SGT battle, because that was kind of the battle of the race. Unbelievable. Richard Forsyth. So first of all, I just want to give it up because I think Paul Menard, he may have been able to pass there at Paul Menard's last lap, but he let these two SGT guys go. And on the last lap, about halfway through the last lap, Richard Forsyth, who's leading SGT, was able to get it from Lee Saunders, who I don't see. You can see here the G-Speed guys unbuckling him, just coming right off the track because he did a whole nother lap basically behind Paul Menard. Richard Forsyth, come out here, man. I want to talk to you. You have that hat? Oh, my God. Wow. So, Forsyth there, I'll let you get your arm out of there, or your leg out of there. But listen, the last lap, you were able to get Lee Saunders, and you guys, the SGT class with Josh and you and Lee, that was the battle to watch. How did you do it?
Oh, my God. We were burning up our tires. Everybody was burning up their tires, getting slippery all over the place. Those guys put on a hell of a race. I didn't even know where the heck Josh went. Oh, he was gone. And we finally caught up to him because I guess he burned up his tires. And Lee started burning up his tires, and we were getting really squirrely coming in and out of there. And I had him on braking over and over again. And the braking really made a lot of the difference. And then I kind of pushed it in. And, you know, I was side by side. We actually passed each other. I don't know if you saw that. Down there in 16, I passed him, and he passed me back. And then we came back, and we did the whole thing. Wow, unbelievable race. God, it was like driving go-karts in the old days.
I love it. Well, GSP, nice job, you guys. Unbelievable. Richard Forsyth doing really well. But I want to come and talk to Josh Carlson because I'm looking at this right here. We were trying to see, you were leading the race, but I could tell your tires were going. With about 10, 12 laps left, you got tapped in the rear there at 3, and is that what just sends you off balance and into the weeds a little bit?
Yeah, you know, it's just racing. It was a close battle between the three of us. I get that things happen. My tires were kind of going out, so, you know, I braked a little early. But, you know, I'll have to check the replay and just see. But, you know, it's just racing.
I love it. I love the attitude. And we know Lee Saunders really well. That was not done on purpose, but that's just kind of how racing goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know I've raced with him multiple times. He's raced me clean all the time. I don't think that was intentional. It's just unfortunate. But, you know, the race and the battle was fun while it lasted.
Nice job, Charles Carlson. Well, here comes Lee Saunders here. But, gentlemen, I'm going to send it back to you in the booth.
Great stuff, Ben. Yeah, Lee Saunders, I'm sure will have plenty to say as well. But as we get ready for the victory circle, don't forget we've got some great action coming Thursday on MAV TV, so you'll be able to see all the highlights of both of the Trans Am races. But let's take a quick look at the highlights from some of the GT action, because that's where most of the great racing was going on. As you can see, they start further down the field, but it wasn't any less as Josh Carlson going well, but as he admitted, a little bit of trouble trying to keep everything together. But the battle really was on in SGT between Lee Saunders and Richard Forsyth. Meanwhile, it was a quiet day for Chris Coffey in the Maserati. No real problems for him. Round went Josh Carlson, thanks to Saunders. He may get penalised for that, but either way, the pair had a great battle in the Viper and the Corvette, and it doesn't get any better. They just toed and froed throughout it, and Richard Forsyth's reaction to that said it all. And here is confirmation of the result then. The Menards Masters Force Tools wins for Ford and Paul Menard. Chris Dyson is second in the Jim Weed Ford. Tracy third in the Franklin Road Apparel Chevrolet. Then it's Amy Ruman in the Corvette fourth. Richard Forsyth fifth overall and winner in SGT. Lee Saunders second in SGT and Josh Carlson third. Chris Coffey of Texas wins in GT. And 8th overall, Kaylee Bryson takes 9th in SGT and 9th overall and 4th in SGT. And Richard Grant 10th overall and also finishing in TA. Milton Grant had a pit stop. Colin Cohen got the car repaired and does get a result out of it. And sadly, Adam Andretti in the top line at Go Share Chevrolet does not finish 7 laps adrift. Real shame for him. What could have been a fantastic day here at Pit Race. So we're just waiting for every car to get ready because we've got lots of prizes to hand out, obviously with the different categories. Ben Sissel will be sorting himself out. And you can see him making his way down to the podium. So let's head down once again to Ben Sissel at our Victory Lane circle.
Okay. All right, listen up. Pitt Race Complex, get loud because that was quite a show. Come on now, how about show some appreciation here for these teams and drivers. Oh, look at this. Eric's got a hat. Who wants a hat? Come on. Who wants a hat? A brand new Pirelli hat. Boo! Oh, look at that. Oh, we might have a fight with the Norwood Auto Italia guys. Speaking of Norwood Auto Italia, let me tell you a little story here quickly. Just a couple days ago in practice, Colin Cohen had a big off in the fastest part of this track, hit the wall from the back to the front. We watched this thing get towed in my professional opinion, I thought we're not going to see that car back on track this weekend. But here it is, not only that, finishing second in GT, Colin Cohen, Norwood Auto Italia Maserati. Where are you at, Colin? Unbelievable effort by the team to get this car back on track, and then he finished the race. Unbelievable. Colin, I've known you a long time. I've seen cars come in like that. I really thought your weekend was over. I'll get to you because I'm sure you've got a lot of people to thank for that. One of the people I'm sure he's going to thank is first place in the other Maserati, Norwood Auto Italia. Where's Chris Coffey? Chris Coffey probably needs some coffee. Probably hasn't slept in 3 days. Unbelievable. But Colin, honestly, as a friend, I really thought your weekend was over, and I guess you guys just don't quit, huh?
Well, I was willing to quit, I have to tell you. I just saw work there. But this man here is amazing. He can make a lot out of nothing and make it work really well. He has skills that do justice to this sport and to the things that we stand for. So thank you, Chris.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And then Chris Coffey, have you slept? How in the world do you do it? So you got to worry about, your friend, your competitor, your teammate's car, but then you also have to go out there and drive 100 miles without any brakes or cautions.
Yeah, it was no big deal, really. I mean, I got about 4 hours last night, and worked literally until the car was on the grid. Stopped, took a shower while the guys were warming the car up, got dressed, immediately got in the car and put it on the grid. So I really got to thank the guys that are here to help me, David Rice and Xavier Willis. I can't believe they let me scream at them for 12 hours straight last night. And my wife, Morgan, my son, Sam, and most of all, Colin, because without him, I couldn't be here. And, I'm ready for a nap.
And the duct tape held.
Yeah, the duct tape held on there. It's actually some flashing tape, so tip to all you racers. It's cheap Bear Bond. But it worked great, and apparently the car made it to the end, and I didn't hear anything on the radio, so I couldn't be happier for Colin.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how about that? Norwood Auto Italia, 1-2 here. Colin Cohen, Chris Coffey. That was fun to watch. So do you have the energy to give us one of your patented woos? Woo! How about that? Come on now. Little Ric Flair nature boy. All right, who wants a hat? Look at that. Ooh, man. Still has the accuracy. There we go. Oh, Colin. I don't know, Colin. All right, hold up those trophies, gentlemen. Colin Cohen, Chris Coffey, Norwood Auto Italia. Gentlemen, nice job. Have you slept? Have you showered? Oh, they did shower. Okay, nice. He just said, I'm not going to spray you. Yeah. I bet you that tastes pretty good. Look at that. Nice job, guys. Hey, go take a nap. All right? Nice job, Colin. Congratulations. SGT. This was unbelievable. We've got a big storylines through here. This was the race to watch, and it was the race that we followed a lot through the live stream. So in SGT Masters, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. If this isn't a goal for how a life lived well, this weekend celebrating 50 years of racing in Super GT Masters, Memphis, Tennessee. Let's hear it from Milton Grant. Just last year, his older brother, who was also in this race, celebrated his 50 years in racing. So, Milton, unbelievable. 50 years, you're here on the top step in Masters. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, and it's unusual to come to a track I've never been to before. So that was, took a little effort, you know, which was exciting. A great track. Really enjoyed it. So it was really nice. And I want to thank my crew chief, Mike Hoover, for what all he does, and my wife for putting up with me for 54 years next week, I think. So it's good. So thank you very much.
Nice. And when are we going to see Kerry back? And will Kerry hit the 50-year milestone?
I don't know. He's been talking about fixing his car lately, so maybe he's getting ready to.
Nice. Well, how about that, ladies and gentlemen? Milton Grant, 50 years of racing winner here at Pitt Race for SGT Masters. All right, Milton Grant, Masters. Man, I like this crowd, Pitt Race. Keep it up. You guys are good. All right, so Super GT. He was leading Super GT. And he also brought us Arcade Matt for our driver start command. So let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Finishing third, Josh Carlson. Where is Josh? Unbelievable racing from Josh Carlson. In second, now where is Paul Menard? Paul Menard, I got to give you, Paul, we're going to get to you later, but you came up behind the battle for first and second in Super GT. He didn't pass him so that they could get one more lap. I don't know if Lee's going to like that, because in that one more lap, Lee Saunders, who was in the lead, was passed. So Lee Saunders is second place. But we appreciate that, Paul, because it made for a really good show. In first place, making that last lap pass at a place that I was not expecting a pass. Current leader at Super GT, let's hear it, Richard Forsythe. I don't know what it is about these Dallas racers, but they're looking pretty good. So Carlson, just one of those days, and I would say it's bad luck, but here you are on the podium, and it's better luck than you've been having lately.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be on the podium this weekend. First practice of Bulba transmission. Thanks to Chad Bacon and CB Racing for letting us a transmission for the weekend. Without that, we wouldn't even have made it to the race. And then thanks to Arcade Matt for coming out and doing the gentleman starter engines. And then during the race, you know, we had a really good start. Car felt good, but then tires fell off, and I was just drifting it, and you know, and then they caught up, and it was just a tight battle from there. Just a little racing incident between me and Lee. I've raced with him in the past. He's a clean racer, so it was just hard racing, but congrats to Richard on the win. It was a lot of fun.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And then how about the camaraderie of the paddock coming to our drivers' rescues and letting them borrow a transmission? That's just what's so cool. Now, Lee, you and Richard, we were watching you. You've got that V10, but then it seemed like he had the brakes, and it was a really fun to watch because you were strong in some areas, he was strong in other areas. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for just letting us come out today. Beautiful day, great crowd, fantastic country we live in that we can enjoy this freedom to come and race. And I want to, apologize to Josh. I mean, what an awesome start, and his tires did fall away, and he's being very gracious because I saw an opening that closed, and we got into each other a little bit, and apologize for that. But and then Richard just, man, he kept me honest, and I thought we had it. I never been wanted to be passed more in my life by Paul. I was like, man, do I just stand on the brakes and park him and let him go by? But no, he just, both of them, awesome race. And Richard got me, and he was gone. So he did a fantastic job today. So thanks to my crew, to Kevin and Eddie for coming up, KSR, and man, they just put a great car today together, and the idiot behind the wheel just made a mistake at the end. So
I love it. Well, Lee Saunders, how about that, ladies and gentlemen? And if you've been paying attention to motorsports, the camaraderie here that Josh and Lee and Richard have nothing but good things to say about each other. It's not often that the drivers kind of admit to mistakes, so we really appreciate that. Do you guys appreciate that? The friendships that are here that are built. This is the Trans Am family, and it's so apparent here, so much fun. Lee, thank you. Josh, thank you. But Forsyth, man, I've never seen you so excited to get out of a car.
Well, yeah, that was the most unbelievable ending I've ever had to a race, and I've raced a lot of races. And Lee, for his part, was just amazing, and we were drifting coming up out of 6 like you wouldn't believe. It was like go-karts in the old days, you know. And Josh is a gentleman, and he tried to keep it clean, too, as best he could until he hit him. But anyway, so I want to thank our paddock mates, Chris and Colin. They are the best paddock mates guys could have. And most importantly, my team with Lewis, Jason, Ian, and Corey, and our support group, Mike and Sandy back in the home day, and Mike's my driver, and Cook too. And we appreciate all you guys. And that job these guys did, repairing the fuel tank issue we had last night till all hours in the morning, unbelievable. But Lewis and G-Speed back home, I just can't say enough about all the support you've given me over the last few years.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Richard Forsyth. Hold your trophies up, gentlemen. Josh Carlson, Lee Saunders, Richard Forsyth, Super GT here at the Pit Race Speed Tour. Oh, who wants a hat? There we go. Nice. You guys got pretty good arms. Paul Menard was treating that like it was a bouquet at a wedding banquet. Arcade Matt, thank you for coming out, sticking around. Did you have fun? He said he had a blast. I love it. All right, come on now. Get loud, Pit Race. One more time. Josh Carlson, Lee Saunders, Richard Forsyth with G-Speed. And just love the family camaraderie atmosphere here at the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. Is Carlson, you getting sparkling water? Look at that. How about that? You know, just a little celebration, but they don't want to spray it in each other's eyes. They got a long way to go. Nice. And poor Josh can't spray his like that. One for the homies, Josh says. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Lee, thanks for coming back, man. Love seeing you out here. Nice job, gentlemen. Nice job. All right, Pit Race. You are ready now for the monsters. The 850, 900 plus horsepower, no driver assist, carbureted behemoth monsters of TA. In third place, starting from the rear, in a brand new car to him this weekend, hadn't been in it yet. Let's hear it. Tommy Dreesy, Showtime Motorsports, Lucas Oil, Mav TV, third place. Tommy, nice job. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but when Tommy's on the podium, we have a little tradition here that we're going to do. So stay tuned. Second place, three-time TA champion, all the way from Poughkeepsie, New York. Let's hear it. The Jimweed Ford Mustang, Chris Tyson. He is three-time, right? I just had a brain fart. Yeah. No. I don't know. We do have a one-time champion here in Tommy Dreesy, too. I just got to point that out. And then, ladies and gentlemen, basically from the green flag to the checkered flag, just showing us his speed. Unbelievable Master Force Tools Ford Mustang 3GT Racing, Paul Menard. Tommy, you got your phone? All right, hold on. Hey, Eric Whitnable, come on up here. You've been working all weekend. Eric Whitnable is going to join us in this selfie. Wherever you want. This is a tradition. Tommy Dreesy takes a podium selfie anytime he's on the podium with Trans Am. How about that? How about a hand for Eric Whitnable for all the work he's been doing? Here you go, sir. I love it. Now check on Tommy Dreesy's social media. You're going to see all these. Tommy, unbelievable. You had a great race out there, and it seemed like kind of you were digging this track.
Anyway, thanks for all the fans out here. What a great racetrack. I'd never been here before, and spectacular, just beautiful, just technical. It's a great racetrack. Yeah, I was surprised we had to use the backup car, and I thought we'd start in the back of the TA field, but we start way in the back, so that start was really hairy. So we got through clean, and then we started to go to work, but by the time I started, clicking laps off, I could see where Dyson and Andretti were about the same. We were about equal. So I would have loved to run with them. Congrats to Menard and the 3GT team, first class. The Dreesy Motorsports team, you guys never gave up this. I got a little upset, after the first session. You calmed me down, so thank you. I got to thank the sponsors, MAV TV, Mission Foods, Lucas Oil. God dang it. There's a couple more stickers on there. Showtime, Jim Weed, Ken Twaits. I want to, Gary Felix, and all the guys and girls. I got to dedicate this whole race to Parnelli Jones. We lost one of the greatest drivers of all time. He was a Trans Am freak. He was just a monster. Rufus, God bless you. And Lacey, Jagger, Elon, I'm coming home.
Nice. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And I love that you mentioned Parnelli Jones, too. 1970 Trans Am champion. And does Tommy Dreesy, does he get bent out of shape? I haven't seen that. Showtime? Yeah, I'm getting an emphatic yes. Chris Dyson, it seems like had you and Adam Andretti worked together, maybe you guys could have caught, but that battle with you and Andretti just kind of seemed to work in Paul Menard's favor. But unbelievable track, great race. I'm sure you were hoping for a caution. It just didn't come.
Yeah, no, this place is definitely unbelievable. Wow. Anyway, the car was difficult today. The first half of the race, we were basically kind of keeping in touch with Paul and Adam, and then about halfway, once we started to burn fuel up, it became really unwieldy. And I was just trying to hang on. Adam had I think lost an engine, but so we were able to get second place and bring it home. But we didn't have a lot to challenge for the win today, and that's difficult. But we'll just try to regroup in Ohio.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Chris Dyson. And then Paul Menard. This TA championship is kind of heating up. It's really interesting this year, 2024. Paul Menard, tell us about your race out there.
Yeah, it's not often you get a car like this. It's solid all weekend long, from unload through practice, old tires, new tires, qualifying. We fought the first three races of just building really loose in the race, having speed and qualifying, but just getting really loose, and we fixed it. I think we found something, or we did find something. I think it fixed the car about a month ago, and my balance just stayed really good. Obviously, this track's really hard on tires. There's a lot of degradation, I guess that's what the sporty car guys call it, but tire fall off. And but for me, the balance didn't really change much. It just got slower, and we managed tires. We had a pace where we could kind of set the tone and manage our drive off, manage front turn, not pushing too hard, and just an awesome race car. Proud of 3GT, Paul Gentilozzi putting together this group that's been with them. Most of them have been with them, so really awesome race team that they just plugged me in to go play with.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Paul Menard. Let me explain something. Paul Menard has had to learn a new language. In his world, it was tire fall off, and our world is degradation. His world is paint scheme, and our world is livery. So, he's going through some learning here, too. How about that? Paul Menard, Chris Dyson, Tommy Dreesy, TA. And ladies and gentlemen, we are here at Jim Weed Winner's Circle, and there's some ice down Jim Weed that we're going to be giving away here at the end. So you may need it. You can hold these Cube 3 cubes, or you can throw them out to the crowd. Anybody want a Cube 3 stress cube? Come on now. Oh, Celix wants one out there. Oh, look at that. Left-handed, Dreesy. There we go to the Lightning McQueen. Ooh, Dyson. Dyson's got an arm on him. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, and we've got Jim Weed to give away up here afterwards. Where are you going, Dyson? Oh, he's giving some hats. See, I like this. Who wants a hat, ladies and gentlemen? There we go. Come on now. Oh, Trippy does. All right, Pittsburgh, last chance. Let's get loud. Tommy Dreesy, Chris Dyson, Paul Menard, TA. Where's Aaron Creed? Aaron Creed was wearing a Low Shack Racing shirt. I got to say, though, Gary Felix, Lawrence Loshak's record was broken this weekend. Uh-oh. Oh, I heard that. All right, come on now. Tommy Dreesy, Paul Menard, Chris Dyson, TA, I heard that, Paul Menard. Yeah, he said back to the SGT. He was just being a race fan. Best seat in the house. Wanted to let him go for it. Our MCO lap leader, MCO Gears, goes to Paul Menard and the 3GT team. How about that? You can stand here in front, right, Chris? Or you want him on top? Yeah, you can stand right here. Come on now, Paul Menard. We've got a motorsports legend up here, Pittsburgh. Paul Menard, MCO lap. Yeah, no fake Happy Gilmore check this weekend. I'm sorry. Your bank kept bouncing those things. But thank you guys. Awesome. The Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli here at Pitt Race Complex, the Pitt Race Speed Tour. We absolutely love Pitt Race. I hope you guys tell your friends and come back. Great facility, great racetrack. This is pretty cool, isn't it?
It's an awesome racetrack, and hope they have us back.
Nice. Paul Menard, hope they have us back. Thank you guys so much for coming out. That does it for the Trans Am Series. We've got SVR8 coming up next, but Jonathan, back to you in the booth.
Thank you, Ben. Yep, great podium and great words from our winners, and very nice that Tommy Dreesy shows his respect for one of the greats of Trans Am, Parnelli Jones. We lost him on Tuesday at age 90. He is, as has often been said, one of the greatest drivers of American motorsport history. But that concludes our coverage of Trans Am for today at Pit Race. But we've got more action to come for you from SVRA. We'll be back at 4:20 to finish it all off, so stay with us if you are on the live stream. But don't forget, if you are a Trans Am fan, you want to see the highlights of both Trans Am and TA2 Thursday night starting at 8 p.m. on MAV TV. From me, Jonathan Green, Thomas Annunziata, and Josh Hurley. Until next time, goodbye for now.
Hungry for SVRA action? Well, the best way to enjoy classic auto racing is with a delicious classic from Mission Foods. Green flag your race-watching snacks with Mission's mouth-watering race day recipes. Try some of our tasty tacos, piled high nachos, fresh chips with guac, and more. So gear up your ride and fuel up those stomachs with delicious Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty.